Hi everyone, welcome to Honey Drops Tarot. This is a general reading for the sign of Leo, Sun, Moon, Rising, or Venus. Leo, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all of your likes, shares, and subscribes. I truly appreciate it. Just a quick note, please do not fall for any scammers. I will never reach out to solicit for a private reading. I do offer private readings, and if you're interested in signing up for one of those or in making a donation, you can find the link to my Buy Me a Coffee website, my official Instagram and TikTok, all in the About section of my YouTube page, and I thank you so much in advance. Leo, I hope that you're doing well. I'm going to be doing your reading with two decks today, the What We've Forgotten Oracle deck for the overall energy and the Tarot for the Great Outdoors. Cards have been pre-shuffled. This is for Leo, Sun, Moon, Rising, or Venus. Overall energy for Leo, please. Wow. I feel kind of cumbersome, clumsy in my hands. You could be feeling you're carrying a lot of weight lately, something about weight. It's crazy because the little remote that I have for the camera, battery just flipped out of it. So it's a lot of kind of chaotic, scattered energy. I just heard the word scatterbrain. Maybe you just feel like you've been pulled in a million different directions. So let's look at your overall energy. Number 35, which corresponds, well, this corresponds to number 8, the Strength card. Leo in the Major Arcana. So Leo, you showed up in your own reading. It's so beautiful when that happens. And the Principle of Correspondence. Principle of Correspondence talks about as above, so below energy, right? So the idea that, you know, what we put out into the universe, what we manifest, we can have right here in front of us. What we see in the mind, we can have in our hands. That's and it's the sense that the trees grow in both directions. So you can't have the top without the roots. One cannot exist without the other. And number 3, the Empress card of the Major Arcana, my favorite card in the entire tarot. The 3, the Empress, number 3, represents the divine feminine energy, this connection between all the queens of the tarot and someone who is the master attractor. So anytime you get the Empress in a tarot reading, it usually talks about your great power and ability to manifest and attract towards you. And the card is Sacred Knowledge. This definitely refers to, for me, the Akashic Records. If you're not familiar with the Akashic Records or the Akasha, the Akash, it's this, essentially this library or this storehouse in another dimension that basically contains within it our past, our present, our future potentials, all in the same place, all at the same time, all in the same moment, that we can actually access this other dimension and be able to look at our past lives, look at our future potentials, right? Because it's this idea that the universe stores information, that it stores data, and that we are just a piece of that data. We are a piece of that energy. So when you can access your past lives, well, like, what good is it, right? What good is it to access the past lives? It's like, that was in the past. How does it affect my present or my future? It's to understand where we've come from, perhaps why we are dealing with the traumas and the triggers and the karma that we are in the present moment. Seems to be something dramatic happening when I start reading tarot. It's somebody screaming outside the window. It's very chaotic in your energy right now. So I think what I'm going to do is I burned Palo Santo before the reading. I'm going to burn some right now because I don't feel chaotic at all, but the chaos is just kind of swirling here. So I'm just going to clear the energy for Leo. We're just going to ground ourselves right now. Take a deep breath. And release. There's a great deal of focus that has to happen with both of these two energies. If you're truly wanting to understand how you found yourself in the moment that you're in today, then we have to look at how everything that's happening is a result of our perception of our world. We create our world. And yes, there are a lot of external factors that affect us every day, but Spirit really wants me to zero in on the fact that so much of our identity, right, the 35 reducing to the 8 is the number of the self. So much of our identity is the construct of our own mind. So Spirit really wants me to zero in on that. It's weird too, because even the energy of these two cards, I mean, they depict something completely different, and yet right in the center here, there's this kind of nexus point, this focal point right in the middle, and my eye is being drawn to it. So Spirit wants to bring in a lot of focus, because there's been a lot of distraction. It's only 7 minutes in and there's just been a lot of distraction. Spirit wants to bring everything into focus for you. So I'm going to get 3 cards for the base spread, 3 cards for clarifier, past, present, future. And at the end, I will pull advice from Spirit. Feels like, you know, I use different decks all the time, and they have you start to read cards, it's kind of like you kind of feel the energy even in the shuffle, even the way they flip out. And I feel as though there's an impatience. I feel very impatient. Even the way that the cards were in my hands, it's just like, get on with it already. Get to the point already. Get on with it already. When I personally meet energy like that, it makes me want to slow way down. It's like if you're driving and somebody is tailgating you, sometimes people speed up, and that's the exact opposite of what you should do. Because the more you speed up, the more the person behind you speeds up. And you're more likely to, you know, be involved in something reckless. If you slow down, you pull to the side, you just let that person go. So I'm also feeling a sense of defiance. So maybe it's not your choice to have to want to speed up. But even like the lion here, it's kind of growling at me. Let's get on with it. So my instinct is to slow down. Why are you so impatient? Good things take time. Trees don't grow like this. This kind of majestic tree doesn't grow overnight. It takes time, it takes care. Right? There's this quietness in a library. Libraries are not like Google, right? You go into a library, you're not going to find the information in less than 3 seconds. Even less so. Google is much faster. We have to comb the stacks. We have to find the right book. We have to then read, absorb, interpret. In your past energy, it's number 4, the Emperor. So this is kind of no joke energy. The Emperor is the power of all 4 kings, the counterpart to the Empress, divine masculine energy, depicted here by Yosemite National Park, United States. Yosemite is a very famous park. Lots of paintings and photographs have been taken of this kind of, people have referred to it as like an Eden on Earth. The Spirit wanted me to say, it's like, as with all beautiful things in nature, there's an ever-present risk of it being defiled, is the word that Spirit just gave me. That's a very strong word. It's almost like you are the keeper of something very sacred. In the Emperor energy, you understand that the level of responsibility that comes with being the keeper. This is your past energy, so I don't know if it's the keeper of a kingdom, of a business, of a secret, of something sacred. Could be a secret between you and Spirit. It's like you're in charge. It's not just you're in charge, but it is under your charge. There's some language here, though, the turn of the phrase, it is of your charge to take care of something in past energy. It's a big responsibility. It's clarified by the 5 of Stones, or the 5 of Pentacles. And you see here immediately this father figure, divine masculine, he is in charge of his children depicted in this picture, right? He is in charge of making sure that they're protected, that they're safe. 5 of Pentacles usually talks about being left out in the cold, being alienated and isolated. I don't get that energy from this depiction. What I do see, though, is that it's kind of the weather that I was in earlier today. It's very rainy and gray where I am today, cold. We had the first snow of the season today, and it was just, you know, when there's like a chill that's like gets in your bones, and it doesn't matter how many layers you're wearing, it's like you can't get warm enough. But all I see here are smiles and splashing in mud and being content, just happy, just calm. Even though the rain is falling, no one pays it any mind. So this is an untraditional feeling. It's like, yes, we're outside, we're braving the elements, but we're doing it with a lot of humor and this knowingness that everything is under control. Everything is within line of sight. And so these two energies together, I mean, we could be dealing with a father figure. It doesn't have to be, it's just somebody with a lot of divine masculine energy. It doesn't have to be a man, but somebody who, it's like, has everything within their grasp. But what they're in charge of, what you're in charge of, very important. Lots of responsibility here. Can you get a clarifier for the Emperor, please? What is it that we're in charge of? What is it from the past energy with Leo that was so important? 10 of Sticks or 10 of Wands in the reverse? 10 of Wands can talk about burden. In this depiction, everybody's gathered around a fire. They're using the wands as a fire. as kindling for a fire. Again, people happy, people gathered around. Normally the Ten of Wands would talk about burden. In the reverse here, it's kind of like releasing. It's almost like, this is how I see it. Let's say that you were put in charge of something, or you made yourself in charge of something. Could have been that too. Perhaps in the beginning it seemed like a burden, and now it just seems like an honor, or it seems like something that it's like you were willing to take up the mantle. You were willing to step into the role of leader. You were willing to accept the responsibility. Because now they're just showing me Mission Impossible. What is it? What's the line? Your mission, if you choose to accept it. That's the big line in that story. Your mission, should you choose to accept it. So the main character in that film is Ethan Hunt. So your name could be Ethan, or last name could be Hunt. Ethan Hunt. Your mission, should you choose to accept it. Let's see if you've chosen to accept it. At first it felt like a burden, and now it feels like a blessing. But it is a lot of responsibility. You're handling it though, Leo, as you always do. Another 10 up next in the present energy, 10 of Vessels or 10 of Cups in the reverse. You can see here, this card came out for another sign. I want to say it was maybe Pisces. This reminds me of like a lazy river, just floating along on a lazy river. 10 of Cups, blissfulness and joy and happiness. You've got this card in reverse. So in the present energy, in the reverse, it's almost like we're not really at that blissful spot yet. We're still doing a lot of self-development, is what Spirit just said. Self-development. We're still learning. We're still evolving. And that's fantastic, because we don't want to be stagnant. We don't want to be stagnant. That's boring. Leo is not boring. We're constantly learning and growing, right? Clarified by the 9 of Sticks, 9 of Wands. Right, 9 of Wands can talk about the wounded warrior living to fight another day. But in this image, it's somebody who is, you know, looking at the barren land here. Maybe trees have been cut down, but we're going to keep going. We're going to plant new trees. We're going to have new growth. We're not giving up. We're cultivating the land. We're cultivating a situation. We're making the best of it. We've been through a lot. We've got a lot of experience under our belt, but we're making the best of it in order to really go after our bliss and happiness. Does the goalpost keep moving, Leo? Like, you know that expression, moving the goalpost? It's, and this came up in a reading in my last series. It's the sense, this idea that you've accomplished a certain level, and then somebody changes the rules. It's like, okay, you only had to move 100 feet. You get to 100 feet and somebody says, no, now you got to go another 100 feet. You're not done yet. You get to 200 feet. No, sorry, Leo, you're not done yet. Spirit keeps saying, moving the goalpost, but I don't feel like somebody else is moving the goalpost. I feel like you're doing it. I feel like you're moving your own, thank you, Spirit. I feel like you're moving your own goalpost. Because you're trying to one-up yourself. You're in competition with yourself. Kind of reaching higher and higher and higher. But there's a kind of weird double-edged sword to that, because the higher your aspect, the higher your aspiration, the lower your roots have to be. It's almost like Leo is reaching for the sky, but through the process of reaching for the sky, it's like spirit makes you root down even further, tethers you even further to the ground, because that's the nature of a tree. A tree can't just float. The tree's very nature is to be grounded. So I think there's a disconnect for you in that concept. You don't maybe see why you should be grounded when you're trying to reach new heights. You might not see the importance of groundedness. It is important though, because Spirit's bringing it up. It's kind of like this, right? Let's say, you know, because I don't know if you believe in the Akashic Records. I've personally had my Akashic Records read, and it was very eye-opening. If you think of the Akashic Records as this library in the sky, you don't ground yourself, you could get lost in that library forever. You could get lost in the otherworldly. And that's dangerous only because we're here in a human body living a human life. That's the journey we decided to take. So we don't want to be too disconnected from ourselves. Can I get a clarifier? I mean, you do you, but this is the message that's coming out. Okay. So, amazing. Number 3 came out, the Empress. So now you have the Emperor and the Empress divine couple on the board. Could be talking about a partnership with a divine partner. Doesn't have to be somebody you're married to or anything, but it could also talk about the divine masculine and the divine feminine aspects coming into balance. Olympic National Park. You can see here, oftentimes the Empress is depicted by a pregnant woman, because the Empress is fertile with actual, you know, babies or ideas, creativity. She's very loving and very generous. And it's almost like in the past you were in your divine masculine energy, taking care of business, taking care of your responsibilities, understanding what was in your charge. And now, in the present energy, focusing more on the cups, the feelings, the growth, the divine feminine. Could be difficult for you because you're so used to being in the masculine energy, perhaps. You are the Leo after all, right? The leader. Usually, this has nothing to do with gender, right? It's energy. Usually the leader steps into divine masculine energy to lead others. But there's a part of you now that wants to focus on your feminine, divine feminine energies. The passive, the attentive, the listening, the absorbing, the attracting. It's also clarified, present energy is clarified by the 5 of Blades or the 5 of Swords. Usually the 5 of Swords is all about competition and conflict, winning at all costs. What's beautiful about this depiction in this particular deck, they're cleaning up, right? They're cleaning up the trash that has been left behind so rudely by others. But there's teamwork here. I mean, I don't know whatever this is, this goat. I don't know what this goat is doing, kind of a random element. But these two people in the background here, they're working together. There's no conflict. I mean, they're cleaning up a mess, that's for sure. So there could be some aspect of you that is trying to clean up something in your life that has been like a lot of loose ends or loose threads, or just, you know, it was like when we started this reading and things felt like kind of chaotic. And I realized, okay, I have to ground myself. I have to like bring it back to a space of calm. Right? So maybe that's what you're doing in the present energy as well. You're just like tying up loose ends, finishing what you start. Right? Because if we delay on those things and we just have a lot of loose threads everywhere, it causes a lot of anxiety, procrastination, disempowerment. So you're really taking charge of that, but in a divine feminine way. Part of that divine feminine, you know what I see this here? People helping each other. Maybe it's you asking for help as opposed to just you being this like leader all by yourself. Both have their pros and cons. In the future potential, 7 of Blades, 7 of Swords. 7 of Swords is like trickster energy and can talk about gaining the advantage and trying to keep the peace without causing a lot of fuss. So this, it's so funny, this card came up before, and if you've ever seen a mountain goat climb on top of anything, they like defy physics. I don't know how they do it or why, but they're just literally climbing on the sides of mountains at like near 90-degree angles. And they're not Spider-Man. Like how are they sticking to the sides of these mountains? I don't understand. So there's something here that feels impossible, or you're kind of, it's almost like a feat of magic. And somebody saying to Leo, how do you even do it? How are you actually making all of this happen? Because it seems impossible. You're defying physics. Clarified by the Page of Sticks, Page of Wands. In your element of the fire, how do I do it? You know, I just have a very clear vision in my mind, and I walk towards that vision. Pages are beginner's mind energy, just starting out. Just see how he's like kind of teaching her. I don't know what he's teaching her, but we're just starting out. We're doing the best we can, but we're not letting a lack of knowledge stop us. And sometimes people let it stop them. Like sometimes people just let a lack of knowledge scare them into complacency or not pursuing something. Because what if they fail, right? This is not you. You're saying, you know, I might not be able to see the entire picture, but I know enough to have a vision of where I want to go with it. And if there isn't a clear path, I'm going to make one. And you might not know about it, and you might not know about it, and I might not tell you, but I'm going to get there. A lot of cards came out. 4 cards came out to clarify. The Knight of Stones, Knight of Pentacles, someone bringing in a very slow and yet authentic message. The 7 of Stones, or the 7 of Pentacles, looking at our progress so far, considering if we're going to continue moving on with that progress. The Queen of Vessels, or the Queen of Cups, Cancer energy. kind of going with the flow, acting from the heart space with love and generosity. And the Knight of Sticks in the reverse, Knight of Wands in the reverse. Knight of Wands in the upright can be impulsive. But in the reverse, it's kind of like, with this set of cards, it's kind of telling me that you're taking your time. In the future potential, you're going to have everything under control. I do feel like the present moment feels still a little bit, you're still trying to get your bearings, to clean up some things, to plant roots, to step into this divine feminine, which could be scary to you, could be not scary, weirdly intimidating, stepping into your divine feminine. What do you mean I just have to sit back and just have the confidence that I will attract what I need? What do you mean? Leos don't do that. Leos go after what they want. This is a challenge. Can I get one card of advice from Spirit? Six of Sticks, Six of Wands. Six of Wands is the victory card. It's depicted here by an arduous trek. Okay, I just got it. If you're having issue or take issue with being the Empress, who has so much confidence in themselves that they know that they vibrate at a very high vibration, and then they attract that vibration. Things, doors, everything opens up to them. I don't want to say everything can fall into your lap, but I've experienced Empress energy. I try to have Empress energy all the time, but it's hard to maintain. But I've literally had abundance just fall into my lap. How does that happen? Right? Spirit's advice is, Leo, you're going to have your victory no matter what. But if you expect for the trek to be arduous and difficult and painstaking, then it shall be so. Because your expectation makes it so. You want a challenge? Spirit's going to give you a challenge. But they're asking you to just sit back and relax. You don't have to make it harder for yourself. But you do what you want. You're a Leo. So that's your reading, Leo. I hope that it resonated. If it did, please like, share, subscribe, comment down below. Please hit the bell notification to be updated as to when I post new readings. Thank you, Leo.